Welcome to month 4 of the engineer track. Today is all about front-end architecture, specifically how to build React applications that are well-structured, accessible, and performant. This isn't a React tutorial. You already know the basics from month 3. Today we're going to level up state management patterns, component architecture, form handling, accessibility, and performance optimization. By the end of the session, you'll have a working admin dashboard that scores 90 or higher on Lighthouse. Here's the plan. Hour 1 is architecture patterns. We'll cover state management strategies and component design principles. This is the theory that makes the rest of the day productive. Hours 2 and 3 are pure hands-on. You build an admin dashboard from scratch with authentication, CRUD operations, search, forms, and notifications. Hour 4 is where we audit what you built. Lighthouse performance, accessibility review, and optimization. The target is clear: Lighthouse score of 90 or higher and WCAG 1A compliance. These aren't optional extras, they're part of the deliverable. 5 objectives today. Build complex React apps with state management. Implement form validation with React hook form. Create protected roles with authentication. Ensure WCAG 1AA accessibility compliance, and achieve a Lighthouse performance score of 90 or higher. Notice that 3 of these 5 are about quality: forms, accessibility, and performance. Feature completeness is important, but shipping features that are slow, inaccessible, or poorly validated is not engineering, it's prototyping. State management is where most React apps go wrong. The mistake is reaching for a global state library before you need one. Start with local state. Use state. If state belongs to one component, keep it there. Form inputs, toggle states, drop-down visibility, all local. Context API is for state that's shared but changes infrequently. Theme, authentication status, locale. Context triggers, re-renders for all consumers when the value changes. So putting frequently updating state in context is a performance anti-pattern. Zustand or Redux is for global state that updates frequently. Shopping cart, filters, complex multi-component UI state. Zustand is simpler and has less boilerplate. Redux has a larger ecosystem. For this challenge, we'll use Zustand. React Query is for server state, data that comes from an API. This is the biggest mindset shift. API data is not application state. It's a cache of remote data. React Query handles fetching, caching, background refresh, and optimistic updates. Never put API responses in Redux or Zustand. Use React Query. The rule of thumb: start local, lift to context when shared, move to Zustand when updates are frequent, and use React Query for all server data. 4 patterns to know. Atomic design gives you a vocabulary for component granularity. Atoms are the smallest. Button, input, label. Molecules combine atoms. Search bar is an input plus a button. Organisms are complex sections: a header, a data table. Templates define page layouts. Pages are templates with real data. Container and presentational separates data logic from rendering. The container fetches data and manages state. The presentational component receives props and renders UI. This makes presentational components easy to test and reuse. Compound components share implicit state through a parent. Think of a tabs component. The parent manages which tab is active, and the child tab components read from that shared context. It gives you a flexible API without prop drilling. Custom hooks are the most important pattern. Extract reusable logic from components. Use auth for authentication state. Use debounce for debounced search. Use pagination for list pagination. If you find yourself writing the same logic in multiple components, extract a hook. Here's what you're building today: a complete admin dashboard single-page application. React with Vite. Zustand for state. React hook form for forms. Target: Lighthouse 90 or higher and WCAG 1AA compliance. 6 features: authentication with protected rules, a dashboard with data visualization, CRUD operations for managing resources, search with debouncing, form validation with a multi-step wizard, And a notification system. This is a realistic application. Every one of these features exists in real production admin dashboards. The goal is to build it well with proper state management, accessibility baked in, and performance optimized from the start. 20 minutes for setup. First, project structure with White. Create the app, set up TypeScript, and organize your folders, components, hooks, stores, pages, and utils. Second, state management setup. Install Zustand and create 2 stores. An auth store for login state and an app store for UI state. Install React Query and set up the query client. Third, routing with React Router. Set up layout routes and create a protected route wrapper that redirects to login if the user isn't authenticated. Fourth, theme and styling. Set up your CSS approach, CSS modules or Tailwind, and define your design tokens. Make sure you're thinking about responsive design from the start. Don't spend more than 20 minutes here. This is scaffolding. The real work is in the features. 60 minutes for core features. This is the bulk of the challenge, authentication flow. Build a login page with form validation, store the JWT token securely, create a protected route wrapper that checks auth state. Your Zustand auth store should expose login, logout, and an is authenticated selector. Dashboard, create summary cards with key metrics and at least one chart. Use React Query to fetch the data with automatic background refresh. On operations, build a resource list with a table view. Add, create, and edit functionality, either in a modal or a separate page. Add, delete with a confirmation dialog. Use React Query's mutation hooks with optimistic updates, search, and notifications. Implement a debounce search input using a useDebounce custom hook. Add filter and sort controls. Build a toast notification system with success, error, and info variance. 60 minutes is tight for all of this. Focus on getting auth and CRUD working first. Those are worth the most points. Search and notifications are the stretch goals. 20 minutes for forms. React Hook Form is the library of choice because of performance. It uses uncontrolled inputs by default, which means typing into a field doesn't re-render the entire form. Forms with many fields. This is a massive performance difference compared to controlled inputs. Use the useForm hook to register inputs and handle submission. For custom components, use the controller wrapper. For dynamic field lists, use field array, lets you add and remove fields. Zord is your validation library. Define your schema first, the shape of the data and the validation rules. Zord gives you TypeScript type inference for free, so your schema doubles as your TypeScript type. Connect Zord to React Hook Form using the Zord resolver. For the multi-step wizard, manage step state in Zustand or local state. Validate per step before allowing the user to advance. Show progress indicator. Make sure back navigation preserves field values. On final submit, aggregate all step data. 20 minutes for accessibility and performance. These are not afterthoughts, part of the deliverable. Accessibility first. Every interactive element needs an accessible name. Use semantic HTML elements first and add area attributes only when HTML alone isn't enough. Tab order should follow visual order. Focus must be visible on all interactive elements. Escape should close modals and drop-downs. When navigating to a new route, move focus to the main content. Loading and error states matter for accessibility too. Use skeleton loaders instead of spinners. They give users a sense of what's coming. Use error boundaries to catch render failures gracefully. Use array-lib regions to announce dynamic content updates to screen readers. Performance. Use React, lazy and suspense for route-based code splitting. This reduces your initial bundle size dramatically. Use dynamic import for heavy components that aren't needed immediately. The target is 90 or higher across all 4 Lighthouse categories: performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. Quick wins that get you most of the way there. Optimize images to WebP format with lazy loading, preload fonts, and use font display swap. Make sure your build is minified and compressed. Bundle optimization. Route-based code splitting with React. Lazy splits your bundle so users only download the code they need for the current page. Analyze your bundle. with White Bundle Visualizer to find what's taking up space. Tree-shake unused imports, runtime performance, use React Memo for components that re-render expensively when their parent renders, use Memo and use callback strategically, not everywhere, just where profiling shows unnecessary re-renders. For long lists, use virtualization with a library like React Window. Run Lighthouse, identify the biggest opportunities, implement the fixes, run it again, iterate until you hit 90 or higher. 5 deliverables. A working SPA with all features. The stand stores with proper separation. A storybook component library. A Lighthouse report showing 90 or higher. And an accessibility audit report. Assessment rates. Feature completeness is 25%. Everything needs to work. State management is 20%. Proper use of the stand for client state and React query for server state. Accessibility is 20%. WCAG 1AA compliance. Performance is 20%. Lighthouse 90 or higher with evidence of optimization. Component library and code quality is 15%. Storybook docs and clean TypeScript. Quality over quantity. A dashboard with 3 well-built features is better than 6 half-working ones. Before month 5, here are your offline milestones. Add internationalization support with a library like React Next. Implement real-time features using WebSockets. Continue optimizing bundle size with code splitting and lazy loading. Add end-to-end tests with Playwright. Contribute to an open source React project. Aim for 1 PR merged. And implement a dark mode toggle using your theme system. Resources, the React docs at React. Dev are excellent and recently rewritten. Stand docs for state management, React hook form docs for form patterns, and the WCAG tool. One quick reference for accessibility guidelines. Tools you should be using: React developer tools in your browser, Lighthouse for performance auditing, XDev tools for accessibility testing, and Storybook for component documentation. That's month 4. Build it right, build it accessible, build it fast.